Hey, Whitney the producer here. What you're about to listen to is a skill demo videoed and produced for our Equip website. We've cut it and posted it to our podcast, but if you'd like to see my coworker's delightful face or access the resources, head over to equip.archomaha.org. Enjoy!
Hi, I'm Jen Mosier, the Associate Director and Leadership Formation Specialist from the Parish Support Team, and I'm here to help you overcome obstacles to mission. Today, I'm going to teach you how to equip leaders using the method of mentorship. Often, priests, parish staff, and key volunteers have difficulty finding people who feel confident engaging in key skills for mission. For example, parishioners might be reluctant to lead prayer at a meeting, share a personal witness of their own encounter with the Lord, or serve as the leader of a small group in which discussion focuses on faith. If our parishes are to become missional communities, ones that face outward and are capable of reaching those who have not encountered Jesus in a personal way, it's going to be necessary to equip more parishioners with these key skills. One of the most effective ways to engage in this equipping is to lean into the method of mentorship. The method of mentorship consists of 4 steps: tell, show, try, and do. The tell stage can be described with the phrase, "I do, you watch." In the tell step, the mentor provides the mentee with an orientation to aspects of the skill that are unfamiliar to them. This often includes any relevant context or explanation of the skill that's being taught, as well as key step-by-step instructions and modeling of the skill. This explanation or teaching should take place both before and after the mentee watches the mentor practice. So, for example, in the case of teaching someone to lead a small group discussion, the mentor would spend some time one-on-one with the mentee describing what he's about to do. Then the mentee would watch as the mentor leads the small group, observing and learning from the experience. Afterward, the mentor and mentee would connect again to discuss what happened, allowing the mentor to provide further explanation and the mentee to ask clarifying questions. This process may happen multiple times before the mentee is ready to move on to the next step, show. The show phase can be summarized as "I do, you help." In the show step, the mentor begins to invite the mentee to help with certain aspects of the activity. The mentee engages in hands-on learning as he assists the mentor, who is still taking the lead. There will be key moments both before and after the particular skill is practiced, in which the mentor offers direction and explanation at a deeper level. This will include affirmation for what went well and feedback for what the mentee could do differently the next time. Let's return again to the example of teaching someone to lead a small group discussion. Once the mentee has had a chance to observe multiple times, the mentor begins to invite the mentee to take on certain aspects of the leader role. This might include facilitating the opening prayer or coming up with some questions for the small group to discuss. Afterward, one-on-one, the mentor provides feedback, clarification, and direction to guide the mentee for the next time. For example, asking the mentee to slow down a little bit with the opening prayer, or to choose questions that are more open-ended so that people have more of a chance to respond to them. Once the mentee begins to gain greater competence and confidence in these skills, the mentor invites the mentee into a greater role of leadership, leading them into the try phase. Try is the stage in which you do, I help. In the try step, leadership shifts to the mentee, but still with the active assistance of the mentor. This is the first stage of delegation, but notice how this happens. The mentee takes on the task while the mentor observes, acting as a coach who sends him out but still accompanies him, ready to debrief and continuing to offer encouragement and feedback. To step into this phase, the mentee needs clear instructions and expectations, specific guidelines, and clear authority. He also needs the freedom to fail and try again. Through this process, the mentee gains confidence and competence in their abilities, all through the experience of doing. So in our example, this is the step in which a mentee would be invited to lead every aspect of the small group, although not without the presence and support of the mentor. The mentor would still be engaged in offering plenty of explanation and direction in advance, as well as afterward, spending his time in the small group discussion observing and guiding only when necessary, just to keep the group on track. Finally, the mentee is ready to move on to the final stage, do. The do stage can be summarized as I do, you watch. This is a stage of transitional leadership. The mentor is ready to send the mentee to engage in the activity independently without the same level of engagement or presence as before. The mentor can still watch and follow up with the mentee to ask how things are going, but without a high degree of instruction or coaching. At this point, the mentee has moved from dependence to a phase of interdependence, and now finally to a state of independence. This would be the phase at which a mentee is ready to independently lead a small group without the presence of a mentor at every session. A mentor might still come to the group occasionally, just to observe or check in with the mentee periodically to ask how things are going. However, the mentor no longer needs to be present for every interaction in order for the mentee to feel confident stepping out on his own. So it's important to be aware of a few of the most common pitfalls when it comes to the method of mentorship. One of the most common is to skip intermediate steps in the process. Often we start with tell and skip immediately to do, expecting people to enter into new activities or skills without the necessary accompaniment and guidance in the show and try phases. This happens most often when we are more committed to the program than to the process of equipping people. For example, if we're more concerned about starting the next session of Alpha or getting the next round of small groups going than developing the people in front of us, we will have a tendency to rush through the process. In reality, however, the success of any evangelization or formation initiative is dependent on the ability of well-trained leaders to execute it. When we ask people to take steps that are larger than they're capable of taking without being willing to make time and space to mentor them, our efforts will stagnate and our current circle of leaders won't expand. It's also impossible to increase the opportunities offered in a parish without more leaders. This leads us to the second most common pitfall, moving too quickly to make time and space for mentorship, which requires an intentionality in order for us to be successful. Behavioral experts tell us that building a new habit consists of 3 elements. 10% consists of instruction, 20% is modeling, and 70% of building a new habit consists of practice. This illustrates for us how critical modeling and practice are in building a new skill. It also mirrors all sorts of other things we learn as humans: tying our shoes, throwing a baseball, or baking a cake. Think for a moment of that last example, baking a cake. Learning to do this requires more than someone simply giving us instructions and expecting us to do it for the first time. It takes someone over multiple attempts showing us how to read the instructions, what tools to use and how to use them, and explaining how each step comes together to produce the end result. It also requires repetition. It gets easier and we gain more confidence when we do it multiple times. In the realm of evangelization, equipping new leaders takes a similar process. The method of mentorship reminds us that the effort to consider every step of tell, show, try, do is really the most effective way to pass on the skills and abilities that have become intuitive for us. If you have any specific questions or situations in which you'd like to apply the method of mentorship, I'd love to chat. You can reach me at jkmosier@archomaha.org to continue the conversation.